I never believed the rumors about the house. They said it was haunted, bad energy, as my sister put it. But I'd been looking for a place for months, and when the rent on this place came up, I couldn't pass it up. It was too good of a deal. A 2-bedroom house with big windows and a wraparound porch, nestled in a quiet neighborhood. My mind was made up. Ghosts or not, I was moving in. My first night in the house, though, I felt off. It wasn't anything I could put my finger on. Just a sense that something was watching me. I brushed it off as new house jitters. I'd had a long day unpacking, and I chalked it up to fatigue. But that night, just as I was drifting off, I heard a soft, scraping sound coming from within the walls. I froze, straining to listen. Maybe it was mice. Or the house settling. I told myself it was normal, that old houses creak. After a few minutes, the sound stopped, and I drifted back to sleep. The next morning, everything seemed fine. Sunlight poured through the windows, and the house felt warm, almost inviting. I unpacked boxes, trying to get settled, but every now and then, that noise would come back. I'd hear faint scratching, shuffling, something moving inside the walls. It happened at random times, while I was in the kitchen making coffee, or while I was organizing my books. But every time I put my ear to the wall, the noise would stop. I figured it must be an animal, maybe a raccoon or some squirrels. I even called pest control, but they couldn't find any evidence of infestation. No droppings, no signs of chewed wires, nothing. They shrugged and told me that sometimes houses make odd noises. But as the days went by, the sounds grew louder, more persistent. At night, I'd hear it most clearly. It started as that soft scratching, but then grew into something heavier, like footsteps, slow and deliberate. It sounded like someone, or something, was pacing up and down inside the walls, from one end of the house to the other. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I lay in bed, listening to those footsteps, feeling my heart race with every creak and scrape. I got up, grabbed my phone, and turned on the flashlight. I decided I was going to find the source of the noise, no matter what. I pressed my ear to the wall in the hallway, where the sound was the loudest. For a moment, there was silence. Then, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper. "Help me!" I stumbled back, heart pounding. The voice was gone as soon as I heard it, leaving me in a state of utter disbelief. Had I imagined it? It had to be my mind playing tricks on me. But the footsteps resumed, louder than before, like something was moving faster, more desperate. The next day, I called my sister and told her what happened. She laughed it off, saying I was letting the house get to me. "You wanted a cheap place. Sometimes that comes with quirks," she said. I wanted to believe her, but there was something about that voice, something pleading, almost human. A week later, things got worse. The noises in the walls weren't just at night anymore. I'd hear them at all hours, and the whispers grew more frequent. Sometimes it sounded like multiple voices, overlapping, murmuring just out of my comprehension. One evening, as I was brushing my teeth, I looked up in the mirror and noticed something strange. A thin crack had appeared in the bathroom wall, jagged and dark, like a lightning bolt etched into plaster. I reached out to touch it, and as my fingers brushed the surface, the crack seemed to pulse, like something was moving behind it. That night I barely slept. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the whispers, feeling the weight of something pressing in on me. I started having nightmares too. I'd dream of narrow, dark spaces, of being trapped, clawing my way through tight tunnels, my fingers scraping raw against the walls. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, gasping for air, my fingers aching. After another week of this, I couldn't take it anymore. I started tearing into the walls. I know it sounds crazy, but I had to know what was inside. I went to the hardware store, bought a crowbar and a hammer, and started with the bathroom, where the crack had appeared. As soon as I pried the plaster off, a foul, musty odor hit me. It was the smell of decay, of something that had been sealed away for a long time. The hole I made was just big enough for me to peer inside. I shone my flashlight into the darkness and saw something that made my stomach turn. The inside of the wall was lined with strange markings, scratched and etched into the wood. Symbols I didn't recognize, overlapping lines and shapes that made my head spin just looking at them. And then I saw a small, shriveled hand reaching out from deeper inside the wall. I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. I could barely breathe. There was a hand inside my wall. A hand, twisted and curled, as if reaching for something, for someone. And then, just as I tried to tell myself it was just a trick of the light, I heard that voice again, clearer than ever. "Help me!" It was coming from inside the wall. I don't remember running out of the bathroom. I don't remember grabbing my phone or calling my sister, my voice shaking as I tried to explain what I'd seen. She told me I was being ridiculous, that I was just stressed, that the house was playing tricks on me. But I knew what I saw. That night, I heard the pacing again, louder and closer than ever. I lay in bed, clutching the covers, listening as whatever was made its way through the walls, room by room, until it stopped right next to my bed. I could feel it there, pressing against the wall, listening. And then it began to scratch, softly at first, then harder, as if trying to claw its way out. I spent the next day in a daze, avoiding the walls, feeling like I was going insane. I knew I had to leave, but every time I tried to pack, I'd hear the voices, the scratching, and I'd freeze. Part of me felt like if I left, I'd be abandoning whatever was in there. On my last night in the house, the voices started up again. This time, they were clearer, almost coherent. I could make out individual phrases, fragments of sentences, trapped, cold, alone. And then beneath them, a new voice, deeper and darker, whispered a single word. "Stay." It sounded almost hungry. I don't know what finally pushed me over the edge. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe I realized I'd end up like that twisted hand inside the wall if I stayed. I grabbed my things and fled, not stopping until I was miles away. I found out later that the house had a history. Decades ago, a man had disappeared, along with his wife. They were never found. Neighbors reported hearing strange noises from the house, but nothing was ever proven. Sometimes when I'm alone in a quiet room, I still hear the faintest scratching, the softest whisper. I close my eyes, telling myself it's just the wind, but deep down I know the truth. Something was in those walls, and it wanted out.